Taking a look at Godrej Property, you should pull that up on your screens. It's down about 0.5%, but they've got quite a few new launches to talk about, new projects coming on scale. They've recently looking to launch the new township project in Panvel. Let's talk about all of that and more with Mr. Adi Godrej, who's joining in. He's the chairman at the Godrej Group. Mr. Godrej, thanks a lot for joining in. Devina here. Let's start off first with the launch of the Panvel project itself, the scale of it and what kind of realizations are one to expect from here.
It's a very large project. It will be a township project, and it is expected to add very considerably to Godrej Properties' success, because this is a project where we are doing a profit sharing. There won't be much upfront investment from Godrej Properties. Most of the investment in the project will come through pre-sale of residential property. And it's a profit-sharing arrangement with the landowners, so we don't have to invest in the land either. And we expect it will add very considerably to Godrej Properties' revenues and profits over the next 3 to 5 years.
What is the timeline that you've set out for the completion of this township?
I think the completion we expect will be done within 5 years.
5-year completion, all right, and that's a profit-sharing basis. So clearly a very big project, around 800 crores worth. This is the township in Panvel. Aside of that, quite a few new launches, Mr. Godrej, within Mumbai itself. You want to highlight how the progress is going on?
No, we have several launches.
Yeah.
We have several launches across the country. We have had 3 or 4 more than that, about 4 or 5 launches in Mumbai. We've had launches in the national capital region and launches in other parts of the country. So Godrej Properties are expanding very rapidly. Although the short-term prognosis is a bit difficult because of the general difficulties in the real estate business. Also because mortgage rates are high, the demand for people who used to buy a lot of residential property for investments has slowed down a bit. I expect once the economy picks up and once interest rates are reduced, as is likely over the next 2 or 3 quarters, I expect property demand will also pick up very significantly. And Godrej Properties is very well poised to take advantage of that recovery in the medium to long term.
Particularly in Gujarat, you're going whole hog into Gujarat. Is that a big market for you?
Well, we go, when you say whole hog, we go as fast as the demand requires. So if a project takes a year longer than was originally planned, it's not much a big deal from our point of view, because all our projects are based on profit sharing. So we don't get stuck in the sense that we have invested in the land and then it doesn't get developed. So our model works quite well. Even in times where there is a bit of a slowdown.
Could you comment on the second phase of Godrej Platinum and how is the demand like? What are the realizations that you're hoping for?
Well, Godrej Platinum has done exceedingly well. As soon as we've opened up a new building, it's been taken on very rapidly. And as we get the permissions and as we are ready, we will open the newer phases. So it's done very well. In the second phase, in Godrej Platinum, we got better prices than in the first phase. So it's a project that is doing exceedingly well. And we will announce new phases in the near future.
And also the Vikhroli Godrej one, is that on track for completion?
Yes, that's very much on track. Actually, the building has been completed, all 12 floors of it. Now only the finishing phase remains. Very much on track. All our projects are pretty much on track.
Right. Mr. Godrej, aside of that, for the market as a whole, are you witnessing a little bit of a stress in terms of demand or probably pressures with regards to pricing in various regions?
Well, let's put it this way. Very clearly, the economy is not doing well. And as in 2008, 2009, when the economy did not do well, GDP growth rate in that year, as you remember, was only 6.7%. And once the economy started doing well in 2009, 10 and 10, 11, our GDP growth went to 8.4% in each of the years. So at that time also, in 2009, 10 and 10, 11, the real estate market did extremely well. It revived from the low of the 2008-2009 period. Now, I think in the second half of the last financial year and in the first half of this financial year, I think real estate will go through a little bit of stress. As I mentioned to you, actual user demand seems to be continuing to be good in residential property, but demand from investors in residential property seems to be down because of the high mortgage rates and general economic difficulties. Now, my personal view is that the economy will start recovering from the second half of this financial year. Government reforms should be announced after the presidential elections. And I expect once the economy starts recovering in the second half of the year, the real estate market will also start recovering. As far as prices go, we have seen no decrease in prices almost anywhere. In fact, in some of our projects, prices have gone up. The main reason prices are not likely to decline is that costs are quite high. And people don't reduce prices, developers don't tend to reduce prices if the margins are not good. Price reduction you only see in a period where the margins have been very high earlier and then demand suddenly falls, and there could be still reasonable margins if prices go down. But in the current situation, I don't see that happening anywhere in the country.
Right. Mr. Godrej, one last word. I mean, recently there was a note put out on the, an accounting policy change that you're going to be adopting. When does that come into effect? And aside of that, currently with a negative operating cash flow, and do you plan to reverse that in any way? Because more the capex, you'll probably face more pressures on the cash flow, operating cash flow as well.
No, we have taken, first of all, on the accounting policies, I'm not familiar with all the details. As far as I know, only when IFRS is introduced will there be a significant accounting policy change, but I don't have expertise in that field. As far as the cash flow in Godrej Properties, we have injected a lot of capital. We had an IPP issue recently which increased the equity of the company, and we will ensure that the cash flows will remain negative for a while because we are expanding very rapidly. So as the profits and the cash flows from the earlier projects come in, we are growing very rapidly. Our growth rate last year, despite the slowdown in the top line, was about 50%. We expect to continue to grow very rapidly in this financial year also. So therefore, more cash will be required in our projects. We are plowing back the profits from older projects and the cash flow from older projects into the newer projects. We will also look at seeing how to raise further funds for our expansion.
All right. Mr. Godrej, best of luck for that. Really appreciate you taking out the time and speaking with us and clarifying those issues for us.
Sure. So, good talking to you.
So for now, the profits that are coming in from various other projects will be plowed back into the business, and obviously the big expansion that they're taking, forth is the key reason why you're probably seeing some bit of a drag on their operating cash flows. But nothing to worry about. The stock price right now at 511. Apollo Hospitals is in focus as well.